Okay, so as we talked about, this is kind of the main gist of the program. This document starts off with just what our mission is as the chamber. This is something that the board put together about 2.5 to 3 years ago, I believe. The Magnolia Chamber of Commerce adds to the vibrancy of our community by fostering connections between Magnolia's businesses, residents, and community groups. Our ambassadors are the key for the chamber to make and maintain connections, provide support that leads to a thriving of our community holistically. So, having ambassadors is really going to be a key aspect in regards to the eyes and ears of the chamber. You know, they, alongside our board and our small staff, are going to be the ones that are listening to hear what's going on in the community and reporting back so that we can, track down, we can answer questions, we can make changes and so forth. Excuse me. The purpose of the ambassador program, they will serve as goodwill representatives of the chamber. Chamber ambassadors are a group of leaders that are committed to being involved with the Chamber of Commerce and believe in its work. They act as liaisons between the chamber staff and board and its members, prospective members, and the community at large. This is done through on-the-ground efforts like membership mentoring, event support, building neighborhood presence and awareness, and more. In the process of performing these efforts, our ambassadors enjoy the rewards of making new contacts, strengthening relationships, and building a sense of community. So ambassadors, one of the things I look at when I'm thinking of ambassadors, these are people that don't have any trouble connecting with other people. They're people, for lack of a better term. They like meeting people, they like having conversations, and they're appreciative of what the chamber has to offer. There's always going to be times that maybe we think something the chamber did, maybe I would have done it differently, but they see the overarching value of what the chamber brings and want to make that organization better, want to make their community better. And so, they are going to be a key part of how we make this organization, not just bigger, but better in so many ways. So a lot of people nowadays, when they're talking about, why should I join a chamber? What's in it for me? Same thing. Why should I consider being an ambassador? So some of the benefits of being an ambassador, through active engagement in the ambassador program, members have access to a new avenue for community involvement. So one of the things I was talking to Anna about the other day is by acting as an ambassador, same thing as saying I'm a board member of the chamber, there's opportunity for you to start a conversation with someone that may not have a natural reason for you to talk to. If they're a member of the chamber or they're a business in the community, or they're just somebody that lives here and wonders what's going on, by saying I am part of this organization, there's a little bit of background credibility, for nothing better to say there. But hello, my name is Jason. I happen to be with the Magnolia Chamber of Commerce. Most people are going to pick up on Magnolia Chamber of Commerce more so than what my name is. They've maybe heard what we've done. They've seen visibly the changes the chamber has done in the village. Maybe they've gone to some of the events that we've been a part of, or maybe they've been a business owner in a chamber in other communities. Something about having that very visible brand helps open that dialogue in a new way. So, this is an opportunity for our members of the chamber to have the opportunity to connect with more people. Again, be it businesses, be it individuals, it's just a great opportunity to meet people. And most people, that's why they join an ambassador program. They want to meet more people, either for their business or, like Kimberly said earlier, they just see value in knowing more people. Who doesn't need more friends, more colleagues, whatever the case may be. They also, our goal, one of the things we love to do as a chamber, and we do this as much as we can, but probably not as much as we would like to, is celebrate the good things of our community. And one of those is our volunteers. So our ambition would be to say, we want to feature our ambassadors occasionally on our social media to say, hey, this is so-and-so. he or she is a key part of our organization. They've been with the chamber for this many years or months or whatever, celebrate them, get to know them, because they are a key part of us. So it's a great place just for, visibility, for being a part of something beyond yourself and just your business. So again, it's just a great place to plug in, to be seen, to meet people, to develop relationships, networking, all those kind of things. So as far as eligibility, what does it take to be eligible to be an ambassador? They are expected to be a member of the chamber. If someone's interested and they're not currently a member, we're going to talk to them about becoming a member and then becoming an ambassador. There's a lot of great people in our community, a lot of people that could do this, but we need them to be committed to this organization if they're going to represent this organization well. So if you're not willing to sign up to be a member, then why would you be a good ambassador of the chamber, basically? So that's going to be key. We expect them to be, active. We expect them not to just take the title and say, I am an ambassador, not really be part of the team, not help lift the load. There are things, and that we'll show in the application, there's different ways to get involved, but, we're asking them to sign up and give a few hours a month towards the organization and helping us become better. We plan to have regular meetings with the ambassadors. We're still ironing out how frequent those would be. The most frequent would probably be once a month. And that may be to go through things like who are new members that we need to reach out to, who, having a pattern cycle of when we connect with our membership, going through and reaching out after so many months each time. So maybe updating that information. Probably will be sharing stuff like we talk about in our board meetings monthly. Here's the events coming up. Here's key initiatives that we're working on. Because we want the ambassadors to be very informed about what's happening. Because again, as these ladies can attest, you're probably going to hear questions and be brought into conversations that it's very important that at least somewhat of what's going on. So that's part of why we want to have these regular meetings to make sure we're all in the loop as much as possible. And then finally, as far as requirements, we're asking that people commit to a 12-month period for their ambassadorship. Once approved, we'll have introductory training meetings that'll be virtual with chamber staff and other people in the ambassadors program. And again, talks about the monthly or some regular period of meetings and so forth. So real quick, any questions about this before we go to the actual application form?
It's not a question, but just to let Kimberly know, it's just a 12-month commitment, but we want you forever.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what I was going to say. How hard is it to renew? I don't do things just to do it as a fair weather friend.
Unless you do something in the village that everybody's reporting on,
Yeah.
I think your chances are good.
Drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
No,
It'll be
shop at
harder
Vicon
to
a
get
lot.
off. It'll be harder to get off than stay on.
Thank you. Yes, I'll sign a life contract till you boot me off. That's funny. Thanks for the chuckle.
Well, let me pull up the application just so people kind of have an idea of what they would be filling out.
That was one of my things too. You had mentioned, I'm hearing a lot of C's: connection, commitment, collaborating, celebrating. I really liked celebrating the community because I moved to Magnolia about 12 years ago, and maybe 15. I grew up in Kirkland, and I never felt like I really found my home, till I was in my 30s, and I thought, I never want to leave here. I'm so happy here. People say hi, and it's just got a feeling that you can't shake.
Yeah, it's a very special community, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the first page of the application. Basic stuff: your name, your company name, position there, address, phone, email, how you prefer to be contacted. If there's someone that personally said, hey, you ought to consider, we'd love to have that here. We'd love to hear what people hope to gain from this experience. Why would you see this as being desirable? The 12-month commitment, we ask for your input up front. Is there anything you see coming down the horizon where, yeah, I'm gonna be traveling for 6 months, and that's something we probably need to take into account. Because again, we want this to be an active program. Everybody's gonna have a life to live. Everybody's gonna take a vacation every so often. Stuff's gonna pop up that none of us can plan for. But if somebody does know such and such is coming down the road quickly, we just want to get ahead of that and ask the question first. And then here's kind of different areas of the ambassador role. One thing that has become apparent as we've had more conversations is the ambassador position is not going to be a one size fits all. There are people that have different talents, abilities, skill sets, personality types, backgrounds, and all of them can benefit the chamber in different ways. Someone that wants to walk in and meet people at their place of business is going to be compelling to some. Others are like, no, thank you. Let me send emails, maybe make a phone call, sit in the background, take photos, whatever. So there's a lot of things here as to how people can choose to be involved. And we want to put people where they desire to be and where they're going to be most effective so they can thrive. That's the key. So one key area of that is membership, and there's different roles within that. For some, it could be serving as a mentor. A lot of people, they join the chamber in the first year, they're thinking, well, do I know anybody? How do I become an effective chamber member? How do I plug in? How do I get to know people? How do I, promote my business through the chamber? Things like that. So if somebody maybe has been a chamber member for a while, either here or elsewhere, and they love that role of saying, let me come alongside you and say, this is how I did it. It may not be the perfect way for you, but there's probably things you can learn. Communicating with existing members. We talked about earlier, following up with people on a regular cadence to say, you're not forgotten. How can we help you plug in? What are questions you might have about the chamber or what's going on, that kind of stuff, which is all related very closely to helping retain current members, helping people not be forgotten, not fall through the cracks. And, we wonder why a year later they don't renew. Maybe because we didn't connect with them effectively enough. So that's a key thing. Another key aspect for ambassadors to play a role in is our events. A lot of times myself and maybe one or two others, we're so busy with making sure we make the right announcements. We're checking people in. We're, making sure that the host has what they need, that it's not easy to connect with people. And again, that's what this is all about. How do we make people feel welcomed, seen, heard, that kind of thing. So having ambassador roles that can help with check-ins at the events. If it's like a seated dinner, maybe a table captain per se. So they're the ones at the table maybe help connect other people to each other, start the conversations. If we have not that we've done this to date, but say we had like a scripted question for each table, we would lean upon these people to say, would you be that person to help start that conversation, that kind of thing. Photography, I've been guilty many times at our events after the fact thinking, oh, I wish I would have gotten my camera out and taken some photos, because we could have shared, social media or to our other members, hey, sorry we missed you. This was a great time. Here's some visuals. So things like that. And then also, if they want to be a part of planning events. So we have a subcommittee that's in charge of events. And this would be a great group if they're going to be heavily involved in the events, if they choose to. Maybe they can have a voice in helping shape what those look like going forward. Marketing, one thing we've talked a lot about is how do we continue to grow the Discover Magnolia brand? How do we make it the social media go-to for anybody in Magnolia, be it business or family? And again, this is one of those things where if we had dozens of eyes out there saying, oh, how cute, this is such a great moment on the soccer field, or, I'm down at Discovery Beach and what a great photo that we could share with, the social media team, or, we're at the Little League parade. And again, this is just a great Magnolia moment. myself or other staff, we can't be everywhere. But if we, again, have a team of doing these kind of things, you know, and then sharing it with, we have a student intern that does most of our social media stuff. And so I consult with him every week and say, let's focus on these kind of posts. So if we could have like a library of resources, that would make us even more effective at doing that and growing that brand. And growing that brand helps the visibility of all of our members and such. So it's a win-win there. And then finally, general helpers, people that could be, again, boots on the ground. Somebody joins the chamber, well, we need to get them a member sticker for their window. Or if we have an event coming up and we're printing posters, having a few people to walk around to the different businesses. Hey, I'm with the chamber, I'm an ambassador with the chamber. This event's coming up in a couple of weeks. Do you mind if we put one in the window? That kind of thing. Or the A-frames that we have around Magnolia. We have different inserts for different events. So if we're having a Being in the Village event, getting those A-frame inserts swapped out to say, okay, this date is this event. So again, there's a lot of ways that people can use their interest to get involved as an ambassador. So moving down to the last few things of the application, what do you hope to bring to the program? We want to know what you're excited about. What's your passions? How can you help us be a better organization? We want to hear if you've served in a similar capacity. It doesn't have to be as part of a chamber. It doesn't have to be as an ambassador role, but as you read some of the things, are there some things in your past? Maybe it was something with a fraternity or sorority. Maybe it was something in your business career. There's some similarities that you say, I've done some of these things and I really enjoyed it. We'd love to hear about that. We'd love to hear about your membership in the chamber, how long you've been part of the chamber, why did you personally join, and how have you benefited from your chamber membership? And the reason these questions are in here primarily is if you are talking to potential members or you're talking to someone, they've been a member for 9 months and just haven't really plugged in, haven't seen the value, you have the opportunity as an ambassador to speak into that and say, well, let me share you my story. I got involved with the chamber 18 years ago. Most of you aren't going to say that. But the reason I joined was, or the reason I've stayed as a member is blah, blah, blah. The way that I've benefited is in this way. We want these ambassadors to have that positive aspect to be able to speak back into those questions, concerns. Somebody has a negative perception. Well, let me tell you what I know about the chamber and how I've had a good experience. That's a key aspect of this role is turning those negatives into positives. So that's the form in and of itself. Any questions again about this aspect?
Jason, both business members and family members are eligible to be ambassadors, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I get caught up sometimes saying only business because historically that's what chambers are known for. And that is the bulk of our membership currently. But the potential of growing our family memberships, you think about 20-something thousand people in Magnolia, roughly 9,000 or 10,000 households. There's a huge opportunity there to grow and not just grow for numbers sake. But again, one thing I was sharing with Anna earlier is I talked to a couple of our family memberships last year about how they can get more plugged in. This is about February of 2020. And we got talking about the possibility of setting up things like focus groups. If we could have our potential of our family memberships be part of focus groups to answer questions about the community, about a business particularly or whatever, they get to have the benefit of having a voice in something that shapes the future of their community and or helps a business, change their menu, add new services, that type of thing. There's a potential where they both are bringing value to each other. And then the pandemic hit right after we started talking about this and trying to set it up. But yeah, there's tons of potential there for that aspect of our membership as well.
You know, one thing I wanted to say, and it just comes to mind as you're talking about all this stuff, and maybe we said it in our initial gathering when we put all this together. One thing we need to do for the new members, and Kimberly hopefully will be one of those, is we need to give them background on how some things have what's transpired in the last, say, year or two of the chamber, how the chamber is very different from what it used to be, what Magnolia Beautification is, what the events are we actually have. I think that's a mistake we've made. We've talked about this in the chamber itself, not getting people up to speed so that you really do know what's going on and you aren't just getting out in the community, with no information, because there's a lot that goes on that most of us don't know about. I mean, we do, but Kimberly, you probably won't. And I just think that's an important thing we don't forget about. Not just set them out on the streets and say, okay,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, Anna and I talked about trying to put together maybe a FAQ kind of summary of, what do I hear a lot, which is very likely what ambassadors are going to hear, the same thing. And then how do we try to answer those questions? One of the things I would encourage all of our ambassadors is we'll give you as much as we can so that you are informed to answer as well as possible. But if there's ever a time where you're like, oh, I'm not sure, we're going to encourage our ambassadors, do not fake it. Just say, I hear you, and I will get back to you. And then, approach one of us to say, what is the actual answer that goes into this slot? So good point. And that'll be another reason why those monthlies are very important.
Right.
Hearing feedback, I think, will be a key part of those meetings once a month is, what are you hearing on the ground? What are the questions that keep coming up that maybe I haven't heard yet? Or, now that I know that 3 of you have heard the same question, this is something we need to have addressed. So.
And I think to that point, Cheryl, that's the history of the chamber is hugely important. So I think in that initial training meeting we have with them, that could definitely be like the first part of it. Just the background of the chamber and what makes it so special and vibrant in the community.
Right. So Jason, where do you go from here in terms of these other people that were interested?
I'm going to hit stop.